You just realized that you needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed-sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. With sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach the people that you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Plus, with Indeed-sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? Well, in the minute I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BWN. Just go to Indeed.com/BWN right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/BWN. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at Lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
And away we go. Episode 1088 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Thursday, June 5th, 2025. It is the day after an announcement. The Capitals on Wednesday morning announced that winger TJ Oshie, quote, will make a special announcement on Monday, June 9th at 5:30 p.m. The event will take place at Washington Harbor in the Georgetown neighborhood of Washington, D.C. The date coincides with the anniversary of Oshie and the team swimming in the fountains 2 days after winning the Stanley Cup on June 7th. 2018, end quote. And the widespread expectation is that this announcement will be a retirement announcement from TJ Oshie, who did not play at all this season. Oshie, due to a chronic back problem, was on long-term injured reserve for the entirety of the Caps 2024-2025 season, which was the final season of an 8-year, $46 million contract to which Oshie was re-signed in June 2017. The Caps acquired TJ Oshie via trade with the St. Louis Blues on July 2nd, 2015. So we are coming up on the 10th anniversary of the Caps acquiring Oshie, one of the most popular and productive Caps players during his time with the team. Hello and welcome to this Thursday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. We on Wednesday had a Commanders OTA practice that was open to the media, and there was a lot of discussion about the defense. Next segment, a supersized segment on the defense off key comments from head coach Dan Quinn and defensive coordinator Joe Whitt Jr. on Wednesday, including the continued absence of cornerback Marshon Lattimore from the team's offseason program, the areas in which the defense especially needs to be better, according to Whitt, the planned role for defensive lineman Javon Kinlaw, why the Commanders did not re-sign edge defender Dante Fowler Jr., and high praise from Quinn and Whitt for interior defensive lineman Daron Payne and safety Quan Martin. And it was that high praise for Payne and Martin for Daron and Quan that most stood out to me. Really good stuff and encouraging stuff from Quinn and Whitt on Payne and Martin. By the way, some Commanders news from Dan Quinn during his post-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon. The team this summer will hold joint practices with the New England Patriots and Baltimore Ravens. Good to hear that. Also on the show, we'll talk Nationals and Orioles. The Nats, they on Wednesday evening shut out the Chicago Cubs 2-0 at Nationals Park as starting pitcher MacKenzie Gore had another high-level outing, 7 scoreless innings with 7 strikeouts versus 1 walk. The O's, they late night on Wednesday night won their 5th consecutive game, and for the 8th time in 10 games, a 3-2 win at the Seattle Mariners. The O's are hot. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me, the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Email from Sean with a trade proposal for the Commanders. Right, Sean? Hello, Al. I'm a regular listener of your podcast and respect your insight into the Commanders, so I'm curious about your take on this trade proposal. We need an edge rusher, and the Steelers need a quarterback. What about trading Marcus Mariota plus a draft pick for TJ Watt? Since we signed Josh Johnson, we should be okay at the backup position. I know that Jaden loves Mariota, and he is a better backup than Johnson is, but Marcus did say that he still wants to play for a team for which he can start. Thank you for the email, Sean. Heck yeah, I'd be very interested in the Commanders trading their QB2, Marcus Mariota, and a draft pick for one of the best defensive players in the NFL, in Pittsburgh Steelers edge defender TJ Watt, but the cost likely would be more than Mariota and a draft pick. The cost likely would be Mariota and draft picks, and if the Steelers are signing unrestricted free agent quarterback Aaron Rodgers and don't need a quarterback, then the trade compensation will be many draft picks or multiple high draft picks. You get the idea. Now, there are two factors that could lessen the TJ Watt trade compensation. A, he wants a big money contract extension, so trading for him also requires signing him to a big money contract extension, and so that could be factored into the value of the player and thus lessen the trade compensation. And B, he's going into his age 31 season, so he's not a young player. But TJ Watt, of course, has been extremely productive and has been durable with the exception of one of his 8 NFL seasons. And so the Steelers would command a lot in a trade of him. There's also this. If the Steelers are signing Aaron Rodgers, then they are in win-now mode. And so trading TJ Watt would not make a lot of sense. This was ESPN NFL insider Jeff Darlington on ESPN's NFL Live on Tuesday afternoon on TJ Watt.
TJ Watt contract, still something that we're focused on, maybe a little bit on the back burner, but he really hasn't been at OTAs so far this offseason. Very curious to see if he shows up to minicamp. That would imply, if he does not, that he is serious about getting this new contract. We know he's serious about it, but how far is he willing to take this? He would face fines if he doesn't go to mandatory minicamp, and obviously it would also imply that perhaps a training camp holdout is also in play here. Watt has made very clear, in fact, his brother J.J. Watt on our air has made very clear that there will be no hometown discount from T.J. Watt. Watt wants to get paid to stay with the Steelers.
Well, TJ Watt is entering the final season of a big money contract that he signed in September 2021. But I tell you, the notion of Marcus Mariota as a trade chip is interesting. The Commanders only have him on a one-year contract. They in March re-signed him as an unrestricted free agent to a reported one-year deal, and the team in April did sign Josh Johnson as an unrestricted free agent. Now, the Commanders are a win-now team, so they need to have a reliable QB2, and Mariota, off how well he played last season, is a reliable QB2, more so than Johnson. But Johnson spent the last 2 seasons with the Baltimore Ravens, who also are a win-now team, and they last season thought enough of Johnson to have him as their QB2. So the idea of trading Mariota is not crazy. I don't expect the Commanders to trade him, but the thought is not without merit. Hey, the finals, they start on Thursday night. Indiana at Oklahoma City, Thursday night at 8:30. Do not miss your last chance to cash in on the basketball season with Prize Picks, which is offering free cash to listeners of this podcast. Download the app and use the promo code GALDI, my last name, Galdi. You do that, you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Yeah, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks Pick'em is available in Virginia and Washington, D.C. You just pick more or less on players in various statistical categories. And Prize Picks Streak has arrived in Maryland. You make a free daily pick. Just choose more or less on one featured player projection each day and build your streak by winning for 2 or more days. Each correct pick grows your streak. All of this on Prize Picks, which is great for basketball, baseball, and hockey. Heck, you on Prize Picks can mix and match player projections from different sports. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports app, and Prize Picks has a special deal for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. Download the app, use the promo code GALDI, my last name, Galdi. You do that, you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Yes, $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks is awesome. I've used it. It's a ton of fun. It's easy to use. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your opinions into real money on Prize Picks, and take advantage of what Prize Picks is offering to listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. Download the app, use the promo code Galdi, and you get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
At RX Bar, they believe in simple nutrition without the BS. That's why they said no to artificial ingredients and yes to deliver intentional, transparent nutrition. Try their original 12-gram protein bar, the nut butter and oat bar, or minis. RX Bar, the proud sponsor of No BS. Use code RXBAR on rxbar.com for 25% off. Subject to full terms and conditions and to change. Valid until September 30, 2025, and may not be combined with other offers. See rxbar.com for full details and limitations.
NetCredit is here to say yes to a personal loan or line of credit when other lenders say no. Apply in minutes and get a decision as soon as the same day. Loans offered by NetCredit or lending partner banks and serviced by NetCredit. Application subject to review and approval. Learn more at netcredit.com/partners. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
Hey, please consider subscribing to the podcast if you're not already doing that. Subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you. Wednesday was the second day of the Commanders' final 3 OTA days of the 2025 offseason. Those days are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday of this week. Then the Commanders' 2025 mandatory minicamp is next week, June 10th through the 12th. And then comes a break of about a month and a half until 2025 Commanders training camp. This Wednesday OTA practice was open to the media. This was the second Commanders OTA practice that was open to the media this offseason. The other OTA practice open to the media was on the previous Wednesday. And this OTA practice on Wednesday, June 4th, just like the OTA practice on Wednesday, May 28th, featured 3 notable absentees in receiver Terry McLaurin, left tackle Laramie Tunsil, and cornerback Marshon Lattimore. We know the deal with McLaurin. He is in the midst of contract extension talks with the team. Tunsil and Lattimore traditionally do not attend most or even any of their team's OTA practices, which, yes, technically are voluntary. Per what has been reported and what the team has put out, McLaurin and Tunsil have been in attendance at other parts of the Commanders' offseason program, which began on April 22nd. Lattimore has not been in attendance for any of the Commanders' offseason program. Commanders defensive coordinator Joe Whitt Jr. did a pre-practice press conference on Wednesday morning. This was Whitt on Lattimore.
Okay, Marshon hasn't been here. We've been in communication with him. So when he gets here, we'll see exactly where he is from a conditioning standpoint. From a mental standpoint, you know, the coaches have been meeting with him, talking with him. And so he's a smart young man, but we'll see exactly where he is when he gets here.
So I am not big on flying off the handle on NFL players no-showing voluntary offseason programs, but given what happened with Marshon Lattimore with the Commanders last season, I do wish that he was not no-showing the entirety of the offseason program. A, he missed a lot of time last season due to a hamstring injury. Where he is at with his health matters a lot. B, he did not play very well for the Commanders last season. He off being acquired by the team via trade last November 5th, what was 2024 NFL trade deadline day, was with the team for a total of 11 games, 8 regular season games and 3 postseason games. He, due to a troublesome hamstring, played in just 5 of those games, 2 regular season games and all 3 postseason games, and the play was not good enough. Him struggling against Tampa Bay Buccaneers receiver Mike Evans and Philadelphia Eagles receiver A.J. Brown last postseason was rough. The hope is that the struggles were primarily due to Lattimore not being totally healthy, but wouldn't that be even more reason to be with the team so that it can properly monitor where he's at with his health? Marshon Lattimore has a substantial injury history. Lattimore came to the Commanders having played in just 24 of a possible 43 regular season games since the start of the 2022 season. Every little bit can count with keeping him healthy. The Commanders for the 2024 regular season had the following rankings. Number 23 in the NFL in total defense per Aaron Schatz' DVOA metric. Number 22 in the NFL in expected points added allowed per play per RBSDM.com. Number 15 in the NFL in lowest opponent's third down efficiency, 38.2%. tied for number 20 in the NFL in takeaways, 17. And specific to the Commanders' run defense in the 2024 regular season, the team had these rankings. Number 27 in the NFL in expected points added allowed per play on called running plays per RBSDM.com, and number 28 in the NFL in fewest yards allowed per rushing attempt, 4.77. That is an overall defensive profile that is not good. The Commanders for the 2024 regular season did rank number 5 in the NFL in team sack percentage, 7.98, so that was good, but the overall defensive profile was not good. We on Wednesday morning had this exchange between Donna Hopkins of Pro Football Plus and Joe Whitt Jr.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, how you doing?
When you look at last year and what you all were able to do on defense, what is it that you want to do this year a little better that you didn't see last year?
I think, and I wasn't, and to answer your question, I wasn't really trying to compare the 23 defense to the 24 of, when we got here, there was 32nd and what we went to 13th or what have you. I was trying to let it be standalone. So with saying that, we didn't produce the ball like I wanted to, that I envisioned us to. Now, the reason being, we dropped 16 of them. Literally just balls that touched our hands that we felt that should have been caught. If we catch half of those, that puts us in a different ring. We didn't play the run well enough, and I thought that we would have. And so if we can, and then the third thing, closing games out, it wasn't the way that I was anticipating. And so when we get into the offseason, we look at it in 3 different things. Okay, all right, was it schematics? Was it the player? Or, or sometimes did we just get beat, So, and then we went from a change, adjust, emphasis, did we need to change some things? Are we adjusting? Are we going to emphasize some areas? And so the turnovers we're going to emphasize because we just have to catch the ball. Some of the things we're doing with the front for the run game, we have changed, and some we have adjusted. And then winning time moments in 2 minutes, we're going to competition every day to get those things better.
All right, vital areas in need of improvement for the Commanders' defense. So the Commanders' major defensive additions this offseason via free agency and the NFL draft: defensive lineman Javon Kinlaw, Dietrich Wise Jr., Jacob Barton, and Eddie Goldman; cornerbacks Trey Amos and Jonathan Jones; safety Will Harris; and linebacker/safety Kane Medrano. The Commanders' major defensive departures this offseason via player releases and free agency: interior defensive lineman Jonathan Allen, edge defender Dante Fowler Jr., cornerback Benjamin St. Juste, and safeties Jeremy Chin and Derek Forrest. We on Wednesday morning had this back and forth between Commanders insider John Keim of ESPN and Joe Whitt Jr.
You guys have added a few guys on the defense, some on the line, obviously secondary. Just what have those changes, what do you think those changes can bring to this group?
We're really excited about the guys that we have, that we added. We wanted to get bigger and longer. We definitely did that up front. We did it in the back end also with Trey. So the vision of how we want to play and how we want to be and how we want to look is more. You're seeing more of it right now from a size and length and speed standpoint. So.
And one of those guys, Javon Kinlaw, what can he add? And just what have you thought of him over the years? What can he add on that front?
He's a uniquely big man that can bend and play with some power and speed. He will have the ability to move him up and down the line of scrimmage. So we can put him wherever we want to because he has that type of skill set. He'll be difficult for tight ends to block if we put him in the 6 technique or if we kick him inside. He has the length that's going to be difficult for guards to deal with as well. So he's an intriguing young man to work with.
Yeah, Javon Kinlaw, the Commanders on March 14th announced having signed him as an unrestricted free agent. He got a surprisingly lucrative contract, right? A reported 3-year, $45 million deal with $30 million fully guaranteed. He is talented, he is physically imposing, but he in his NFL career has not been very productive. What do the Commanders know that we perhaps do not know? Well, we do know that General Manager Adam Peters knows Kinlaw well. Kinlaw was taken by the San Francisco 49ers with the number 14 overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft out of the University of South Carolina. He played for the Niners for the 2020 through 2023 seasons. Adam Peters was the Niners Vice President of Player Personnel when they drafted Kinlaw, but Peters also was the Niners Assistant General Manager when they in the 2023 offseason did not exercise exercise the fifth-year option in Kinlaw's rookie contract. He was signed by the New York Jets as an unrestricted free agent in March 2024. But Peters knows Kinlaw well and clearly believes in Kinlaw. Also, Commanders defensive line coach Daron Payne. He knows Kinlaw well. Payne was the Niners' assistant defensive line coach for the 2021 through 2023 seasons, which were Kinlaw's last 3 seasons with the Niners. The presumption that I've had, the presumption that I'm guessing many of you have had is, well, Adam Peters and the team must have a plan by which they believe they can maximize Javon Kinlaw. And sure enough, Joe Whitt Jr. on Wednesday morning said that the plan is to move Kinlaw up and down the line. So he'll play both interior defensive lineman and edge defender. And this would speak to the lack of obvious activity at edge defender by the Commanders this offseason. They view Javon Kinlaw as part of the answer at edge defender. What about the departure of Dante Fowler? We on Wednesday morning had this exchange between 7 News DC sports director Scott Abraham and Joe Whitt Jr.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
You lose a guy like Dante Fowler, who had 10.5 sacks last year. How do you replace that? You know, a guy that, you know, had that type of production, and obviously there's some concern maybe from the fan base of the edge position right now, currently, how it's kind of constructed.
I don't think going into the year anybody thought Dante was going to have 10.5 sacks last year. I don't think anybody in here would have said that. And so we'll have somebody that to produce a higher sack total than what's thought to be, okay? And so who that person is, I don't know. Will it be a collective of guys? I don't know. But I do feel that our pass rush will be better. I do feel definitely that our run defense will be better. Where will it come from? Which individual? It's too early to say, but it will come.
So the Dallas Cowboys on March 14th announced having agreed with Commanders unrestricted free agent edge defender Dante Fowler Jr. on a contract. The contract initially was reported as a 1-year, $8 million deal, but ESPN Cowboys insider Todd Archer, he in a post on X on March 19th reported that the contract actually is a 1-year, $6 million deal, with a $2 million incentive for having at least 11 sacks in the 2025 regular season. 1 year, $6 million. That's all that Fowler got, despite him for the 2024 regular season being tied for number 12 in the NFL and being number 1 on the Commanders in sacks with 10.5. And he also, for the 2024 regular season, was number 8 among all qualified edge defenders in the NFL in ESPN's pass rush win rate. But we heard Joe Whitt Jr. say that he feels that the Commanders' run defense will be better. And that, to me, told us all we need to know about why the Commanders did not re-sign Fowler, even with him only commanding a 1-year, $6 million contract. And the reason that the Commanders did not re-sign Fowler: run defense. Dante Fowler is a big-time liability against the run. Fowler, in the 2024 regular season, played in all 17 of the Commanders' games, but on just 52.08% of the team's defensive snaps. Why? Run defense. Fowler, for the 2024 regular season, had a run defense grade for Pro Football Focus of just 50.0. PFF grades are on a scale of 0 to 100. 60 is average. And Fowler, in the Commanders' 55-23 loss at the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game this past January 26, played on a mere 23% of the Commanders' defensive snaps. The team's top sack man in the team's biggest game of the season played on just 23% of the team's defensive snaps. Why? Run defense. That was made clear by what Joe Whitt Jr. had to say about Fowler on Wednesday morning. What kind of a 2025 season is interior defensive lineman Daron Payne going to have? The 2025 season will be his 8th NFL season, but just his age 28 season of the Redskins taking him with the number 13 overall pick in the 2018 NFL draft out of the University of Alabama. He was just 20 years old when he was drafted. Payne has been a very durable player. He had a great 2022 season, what was a contract season, but he's since signing a big money contract extension in March 2023 has been, shall we say, mid. He hasn't been all bad, but he certainly has not lived up to that contract. Payne, for the 2024 regular season, had an overall grade for Pro Football Focus of just 53.7. That's below average. Again, 60 is average. And he, for last regular season, had a run defense grade for PFF of just 49.3. But very interestingly and very encouragingly, Joe Whitt Jr. on Wednesday morning singled out Daron Payne as an offseason standout. We on Wednesday morning had this exchange between Commanders insider Ben Standig of The Athletic and Whitt.
I imagine, we're all wanting to see the guys and seeing, who looks different, who's, whatever it may be with what they've done in the offseason. I imagine for you, that's got to be a big deal when they come in for the first time. Were there some guys that for you stood, okay, I can tell they really put in some work or some other things before this all started?
Pretty much, they all going to come back in shape. Okay, it's just because of who we are and what we do. The guy that, to me, he just looks really good. He looks intentful. Daron Payne, man, like every day, this dude is. I'm having to tell him, hey man, let's calm down. Like I got in trouble with the head coach yesterday because I challenged the D line and he went after it and I said, Q, that was my fault. I told him to do. He did exactly what I told him to do, and so. I've been really pleased. The walkthroughs, everything that we've asked him to do, and he's a leader. He doesn't talk much at all right, but he is leading by example. And this year, you can really see him taking that leadership role and taking it to the next step. So I would say he's been the guy that's just really stood out to me the most from that standpoint.
So how about that? Joe Whitt Jr., high praise for Daron Payne. I have said that I want 2022 Daron Payne back. I want contract season Daron Payne back. What happened to that guy? I miss that guy. Well, while Payne reportedly is under contract for 2 more seasons, he is viewed as a salary cap cut candidate for next offseason in the way that John Allen was a salary cap cut victim this offseason. So in essence, this coming season is a contract season for Payne. So maybe we in 2025 are getting back contract season Daron Payne. Commanders head coach Dan Quinn, he on Wednesday afternoon did a post-practice press conference, and he had a lot of nice things to say about Daron Payne. Take a listen to this exchange between Commanders insider Sam Fortier of the Washington Post and Quinn.
I know everyone always wants to get better, but how much of a jump or progress can a guy like Daron make in going into year 8?
You know, it's funny that you brought him up, but I walked past him today. I said, man, you've had a remarkable offseason. And I felt that way through the drill work, through the skill. And everyone, you just see something that jumps out differently, that's onto a new space. And I felt that from him coming into this offseason. And I've certainly been impressed by what I've seen so far. In fact, it was like literally today that I said, man, I've really been impressed by the work that you've put in this offseason. And I see it, happening out on the field.
Dan Quinn telling Daron Payne that he has had a remarkable offseason. Great to hear all of this positivity about Payne. The Commanders need him to be the player he can be. We later in the Dan Quinn post-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between Ben Standig and Quinn.
Hey, Dan, just to stay on the Daron Payne topic, obviously every year you want there to be a level of urgency for all your guys, but for him at this point in his career, how important do you think this season is?
Like you said, that they're all big. I just sense there's a space when you can feel it. It's not something that we spoke about to go. Sometimes a marker happens and there's an urgent space to go, and you want to jump into that space. Maybe it was where we think we can get to. You don't know what's different for him. It might be different from yours to Sam's to Nikki's, but once that fire's lit, man, you want to hit it. And I've really sensed that from him, the questions, the understanding of the defense, how good a shape he's in. So he's off to an excellent start.
Contract season, Daron Payne. 2022 Daron Payne. Is he back in full effect, or are we going to look back on this Daron Payne hype from Wednesday and laugh? We shall see. Well, hopefully, Daron Payne has a great 2025 season. Always great, though, is Nova Fireplace and Stove. If you live in Northern Virginia, know that you can count on Nova Fireplace and Stove for whatever your outdoor living needs may be. Nova Fireplace and Stove offers custom outdoor fireplaces, outdoor kitchens, grills, fire pits, and patio heaters. Nova Fireplace and Stove offers free in-home estimates for Northern Virginia residents for outdoor kitchens and gas lines. If you live in Northern Virginia and want to increase the look, feel, and value of your home via high-level outdoor living, contact Nova Fireplace and Stove, which is offering a special deal for listeners of the Al Galdi podcast. Call 571-513-3803 or visit NovaFireplaceandStove.com and tell Nova Fireplace and Stove that Al Galdi sent you. You do that, you get $50 off any fireplace service before September 1st. This includes cleaning, safety inspection, tune-up, and diagnostic work. Also, Nova Fireplace and Stove offers generators, car charging stations, patio pavers, and water heater replacement/repair. Nova Fireplace and Stove has been around for 2+ decades and is outstanding. It is family-owned. It is a 5-star dealer. It is expanding its showroom in Woodbridge, Virginia to include a new outdoor showroom section. Call 571-513-3803. Asked to speak to Stuart Moore. He's the general manager. He's a big Commanders fan. He's a loyal listener of this podcast. And make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Also visit NovaFireplaceandStove.com to check out customer reviews. 571-513-3803 or NovaFireplaceandStove.com and tell Nova Fireplace and Stove that Al Galdi sent you. You do that, you get $50 off any fireplace service before September 1st. Well, another player who Joe Whitt Jr. on Wednesday morning had high praise for was safety Quan Martin. Quan Martin on April 26 revealed to reporters that he played much of last season with 2 separated shoulders. That is nuts, man. Quan Martin for last regular season played on 87.07% of the Commanders' defensive snaps, and he for last postseason played on 92.6% of the Commanders' defensive snaps, and he last regular season and postseason played on special teams. Again, the guy had 2 separated shoulders. How about that toughness? And, of course, who could forget what Martin did in the Commanders' 45-31 win at the Detroit Lions on January 18th in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, a 40-yard pick six with 5:25 left in the second quarter. Here was Joe Whitt Jr. on Wednesday morning on Quan Martin.
You know, Quan is what we really stand for here, okay? He's a guy, they were messing with me because this time last year I set Quan down. I was like, put him with the 2s, all right? And the coach was like, well, you made a great decision with that one. But the reason I wanted to put him with the 2s is he was making mistakes that we can't afford to make. And then the next 3 practices was boom, boom, boom. He's back in there with the 1s. And then he caught the ball from, I don't know if y'all saw that one, but he caught the ball from his back. And he just, now he's taking a leadership role of communicating at a very high level, which he wasn't doing at the beginning. And I give a lot of that credit to Jason Simmons and Tommy Donatel. They've done a great job of developing him. This kid has the potential to be one of the better safeties in this league, and that's what I'm holding him to. That's what I'm expecting with him because of what he has. So I've been pleased with everything Quan and Daron. I just want to keep saying that because those 2 guys have come in with laser focus, and they're the leaders of the defense along with Bobby and Frankie.
How about all of that from Joe Whitt Jr. on Quan Martin? The Commanders took Martin in the second round of the 2023 NFL Draft out of the University of Illinois, an actual draft pick by Washington during its time with Ron Rivera as head coach in charge of player personnel that just may be good. But yeah, as Whitt said, Quan and Daron, 2 standouts for the Commanders right now. Dan Quinn, during his post-practice press conference on Wednesday afternoon, said some good stuff about Quan Martin. We, during that presser, had this back and forth between Commanders insider David Harrison of SI.com and Quinn.
I know every player obviously has to deal with injuries and being banged up at some point in time, but with Quan kind of playing through the 2 shoulder injuries, kind of what did that teach you about him last year?
Yeah, I knew, obviously, like you guys saw, we limited some in practice, but there was no chance like that he was missing. He is that competitor in that way. So going into the offseason after the procedures, we were just not going to miss one step of his healing of that, all the way through. And so he's making great progress on that. But I knew he was a pretty rare competitor. Then you find out, like, man, this guy is even tougher than you think. To have them both done at the same time, they were a few weeks apart, but you can imagine some of the challenges that go along with that when you have, 2 shoulders in the offseason that you're not able to use at the same time. So I'll leave that space blank there, and everybody can fill that in.
And then
a lot of love from
Coach Whitt spoke pretty highly about where he thinks Quan's ceiling. That's the word we like to use, right? Kind of get your thoughts on Quan's ceiling as well.
Yeah, the physical attributes we've always seen. It probably has, if not the highest vertical, but that type of explosiveness, the speed, how he can burst. And so I thought moving him from nickel to safety allowed some of that natural, playmaking ability to track, to come off the red line, and to use some of that speed from the safety spot. He's certainly fast enough to play nickel, but I felt like that was the right call to move him into that spot. And so once I think he found his home there, and all the unique skills that he has to go. And so I think, he's going like this. Now I have a whole season under his belt of playing safety, and now, I think he's really going to take off. It's the speed and the hitting ability, and you can win with that.
Yes, you can. A few more items. I earlier labeled Kane Medrano as a linebacker/safety as opposed to just a linebacker, and I did that for good reason. Joe Whitt Jr. on Wednesday morning confirmed that Medrano, who we have suspected might be more of a safety than a linebacker, is in fact being tried at safety. Here you go.
Kane, he's a unique kid because of, his receiver background coming in. Is he a linebacker really? Is he a safety? Can he do some of the Jeremy Chin roles? Can he do some of the Frankie Louvu roles? And so we're really testing the kid right now to see, all right, what is he going to be? And we'll really tell a little bit more once we put the pads on. He can really run. Does he have the ability to cover a tight end? Does he have the ability to beat a tackle in the rush? So is he Frankie, or is he Jeremy, or is he a cross of both? And that's what I'm trying to find out with him.
Yeah, so something that Commanders analyst Mark Bullock on this podcast has highlighted is that Kane Medrano can excel in pass coverage and thus is maybe more of a safety than a linebacker. And sure enough, the Commanders are trying him at safety. Who are the breakout candidates for the Commanders defense this coming season? Well, one is linebacker Jordan McGee, who the team took in the 5th round of the 2024 NFL Draft at Temple. He had an injury-ravaged rookie season. McGee was on the reserve/injured list August 27th to October 23rd due to a meniscus injury. And then the Commanders this past January 18th announced having placed him back on the reserve/injured list. He had been inactive for the Commanders' final 2 games of the 2024 regular season due to a hamstring injury. We on Wednesday morning had this exchange between Mitch Tischler of Monumental Sports Network and Joe Whitt Jr.
Jordan McGee seemed to have a pretty good training camp last year, then was derailed a little bit by the knee injury. As you start looking into how he's going to contribute this year, what are your expectations for him? We really had a package in last year for Jordan, and then he got hurt. And so it sort of took that package away versus 12 personnel. I'm really hoping that he can stay healthy. And then there's some other guys at the linebacker position that we want to have some 3 linebacker defenses that we can get a little bit bigger versus 12, not play as much nickel to shore up some of the run on that aspect as well. So I'm excited to see he's been showing great call command, being a linebacker. I believe linebackers, control the huddle and control the defense, and he's learning from Bobby and Oust how to do that.
Interesting to hear that the Commanders last season had a package for Jordan McGee. They do seem to like him. Hopefully he stays healthy this coming season. And then I did want to play this. This was one of these culture conversations, but this stood out to me. On Wednesday afternoon had this exchange between Commanders insider J.P. Finley of NBC4 and Dan Quinn.
We got to talk to Harris and Wise, and these are veteran players that just came here this offseason, and they both said the culture and the brotherhood is the reason why. What is it you guys do to get veteran players to kind of buy into that stuff right away?
I think first that's you give credit to Adam and his staff. They have such a unique understanding of what the team needs too. And we had said way back, hey, this isn't for everybody, but for the people that are so much about one another and getting better and doing those things, those are important things to us. One of the main things for the players starting off to be here, can you be an awesome teammate, top of the pile? Then it gets into your role, what that can mean, how good can you get at these specific things, and then we go from there. But it has to be, man, being a great teammate first. And so yeah, no shit, Dan, that's important for everybody. But how do you live that? And how do you demonstrate that? And how do you show that to one another? Because not everybody's outspoken or, not like giving each other greeting cards every day, but there's spaces that you fill in that you're helping one another, see how good you can get. And that to me is all part of it. I never wanted to be like having a good time and working your ass off to be in opposition of one another. Like I wanted those two things to happen simultaneously, like having a great time and we were like absolutely emptying it out to go work hard. And so when I see practices like yesterday, like today, you probably didn't see as much of the speed. We had so much more in the red zone, but like yesterday, it was speed, man. It was the Ashburn relays. We wanted to see how fast we could go without the contact, without that, but how fast we could go. And you push each other to do that. If you were running the route and I'm keeping up, like we are pushing each other, not in a combative way, but definitely in a competitive way. And I do think the players here have created that. Like, man, they do enjoy it. There's a good vibe that we have, but like we also put it in. And if you don't, you'll get exposed pretty quickly because the tempo of which we want to practice at is high. So like if you don't put in the work, it'll look rough for you.
So the topic of the Commanders' improved culture has been talked about a ton, but these insights into the improved culture, these snapshots of the improved culture are, at least to me, interesting and noteworthy. And I did enjoy hearing that from Dan Quinn on Wednesday afternoon. Hey, if you are planning a party, a wedding, a corporate gathering, and aren't sure where to start or what to do, no worries. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Catering by Uptown is run by the Pereiras, who are great Commanders fans and loyal supporters of this podcast. Catering by Uptown provides both great service and a great price. Catering by Uptown is a family business, and it specializes in handling everything so that you don't have to. Catering by Uptown understands that special events deserve to be celebrated in style. Catering by Uptown takes care of every detail so that you can enjoy your event. Catering by Uptown is committed to meeting your needs and exceeding your expectations. Great service, amazing cuisine, and reliability are the foundation of what makes Catering by Uptown one of the most referred caterers throughout Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia. And know this, if you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can set up your own personal tour of one of Catering by Uptown's premier venues, including outstanding waterfront venues. Catering by Uptown offers the ability to coordinate services at over 100 of the best reception halls, vineyards, farms, historic homes, event venues, banquet facilities, and wedding venues in the area. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Hey, you can put this podcast to work for you by advertising on the podcast. Grow your business or practice. Podcast advertising works and is very affordable. You get a true bang for your buck. In fact, we right now are offering special discounted deals as we approach 2025 Commanders training camp. Would love to have you on board. Email us to see what we could do for you. The email address is the Al Galdi Podcast at yahoo.com. What is becoming a special season for National starting pitcher MacKenzie Gore continued on Wednesday evening in a 2-0 win for the Nats over the Chicago Cubs at Nationals Park in Game 2 of a 3-game series as Nats manager Davey Martinez saw the boys get a shutout win.
I'm proud of the boys.
Yes, thank you, Davey. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 29-32. The Cubs in this regular season now are a National League Central best 38-23 with a National League best run differential of plus 100. And MacKenzie Gore was great again. He tossed 7 scoreless innings with 7 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He gave up just 3 hits, all of which were singles. He issued a hit by pitch and a wild pitch, but he threw a lot of strikes, 94 pitches, 63 strikes versus just 31 balls, and he did all of this against one of the best offensive teams in the majors in the Cubs, who for this regular season, as of games through Tuesday, were number 3 in the majors in team OPS plus at 124. How about the top of the first on Wednesday evening? Gore in the top of the first gave up a single to each of the first 3 batters he faced. but he then generated a swinging strikeout of each of the next 2 batters he faced in retiring each of the final 3 batters he faced in the inning. MacKenzie Gore now for this regular season, 13 starts, ERA of 2.87, whip of 1.14, 108 strikeouts, ranking number 1 in the majors, a strikeouts per 9 innings of 12.9, ranking number 1 among all qualified pitchers in the majors. He is having a Cy Young Award caliber season. He has been that good. Here was Davey Martinez during his postgame press conference on Wednesday night on what went down with MacKenzie Gore in the top of the first.
We talked about it after he came out of the game. That was a big moment. I mean, to me, you look back, that was a critical inning right there, trying to get out of that first inning. And we talked a little bit about it, and I said, hey, that's maturity on your part. It really is. I mean, things could have spiraled for you really quick. And he made a comment, said, yeah, I'm getting better at that. I said, no, you're getting really good at it now. So continue to do that. I mean, that's who you are. I mean, your stuff is good. Attack the strike zone, and he was fabulous today.
Yes, he was. And the Nats bullpen in this 2-0 win over the Cubs on Wednesday evening was good. 2 Nats relievers combined for 2 scoreless innings. Brad Lord tossed a scoreless and hitless top of the 8th, and Kyle Finnegan tossed a scoreless top of the 9th for the save, despite giving up 2 singles. And the Nats offense in this 2-0 win over the Cubs on Wednesday evening did enough to win the game, but did not do much. The Nats totaled just 2 runs, just 4 hits, and just 1 walk, went 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. The 4 hits were a home run, a double, and 2 singles. Cubs starting pitcher Matthew Boyd, he allowed 2 runs in 7 1/3 innings with 6 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He began his outing by tossing 5 1/3 perfect innings. Ahmed Rosario, he appeared in a game for the first time since May 25th, and he homered. He is the Nats starting third baseman and number 2 batter, went 1 for 3 with a solo homer. Rosario in the Nats 1-run 7th had a leadoff first pitch opposite field home run to right field for a 1-0 Nats lead. Ahmed Rosario for this regular season now has an OPS of 811 over 96 plate appearances. He's been productive when he has played. The Nats' other extra base hit in this game came from Nasim Nunez. He is the Nats starting second baseman and number 8 batter, went 1 for 2 with an RBI double and a walk. He had a stolen base, but also got picked off and caught stealing. Nunez in the bottom of the 6th drew a one-out walk to end Matthew Boyd's bid for a perfect game, but Nunez then got picked off and caught stealing second base. But Nunez in the Nats 1-run 8th had a tremendous plate appearance, a 1-out full count RBI double down the left field line for a 2-0 Nats lead to conclude a 10-pitch plate appearance in which he was down in the count at 1.02, and he had a steal of third base. Davey Martinez during his postgame press conference on Wednesday night on the offensive contributions of Ahmed Rosario and Nasim Nunez against Matthew Boyd.
The other guy was good. Boyd threw the ball really well. Man, Rosie with a big home run the other way. It was awesome, and then Nooney with an unbelievable at bat there. I mean, these guys don't play every day, but they know what they need to do when they get a chance to go out there and play, and they play with their hair on fire, which is awesome.
Yeah, now otherwise, the Nats offense in this game did very little. The Nats numbers 1, 3, 4, and 5 batters, C.J. Abrams, James Wood, Nathaniel Lowe, and Josh Bell, they went a combined 0 for 13 with no walks. But the Nats got the win. Game 3 for the Nats against the Cubs at Nationals Park, Thursday evening at 6:45. Jake Irvin will be the Nats starting pitcher.
Yo, it's D-Lo. I'm partnering with Ro. Women, y'all feel that? It's sexy. But if you're stressing about your performance, it throws you off. That's why I rock with Rose Sparks. Rose Sparks dissolve under your tongue and hit fast so you're ready when the moment pops off. You feel like a superhero. It's satisfying your partner. That's key. Rose Sparks help you last longer, stay fuller, and keep the whole vibe right. When prescribed, new patients get $15 off their first order. Hit up ro.co/backyard and to see if Rose Sparks are right for you. That's ro.co/backyard and see if Rose Sparks are right for you.
Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved. Do not undergo FDA safety effectiveness or manufacturing review. For full safety information, go to ro.co/safety-info.
NetCredit is here to say yes to a personal loan or line of credit when other lenders say no. Apply in minutes and get a decision as soon as the same day. Loans offered by NetCredit or lending partner banks and serviced by NetCredit. Application subject to review and approval. Learn more at netcredit.com/partners. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
will make it 5 consecutive wins for the Orioles, who now have won 8 of their last 10 games. Is this team finally getting going? A 3-2 win at the Seattle Mariners late night on Wednesday night in Game 2 of a 3-game series as the O's, Joe Angel, again, were in the win column.
And the Orioles again in the win column.
Yes, Joe, the win column. The O's in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 24-36. The Mariners in this regular season now are 32-28, a half game behind the Houston Astros for first place in the American League West. More good pitching by the O's. They, during this 5-game winning streak, have allowed a total of just 8 runs. Cade Povich was the Orioles starting pitcher. He allowed 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings with 5 strikeouts versus 1 walk. He gave up 4 hits, which were a double and 3 singles. He issued a hit by pitch. He over 86 pitches threw 54 strikes versus 32 balls. Cade Povich for this regular season does not have great numbers. 11 starts, ERA of 5.11, whip of 1.47, but his strikeouts per 9 innings is at 9.27. He has been the best strikeout pitcher in terms of Orioles starting pitchers. The Orioles bullpen in this 3-2 win at the Mariners late night on Wednesday night was good. 4 Orioles relievers combined for 3 2/3 scoreless innings. Ynier Cano in the bottom of the 6th faced 2 batters. The Mariners numbers 3 and 4 batters and got 2 big outs. He came into the game with a runner on third in J.P. Crawford, 1 out, and the O's down 2-1. And Cano to the first batter he faced, Julio Rodriguez, induced a grounder to shortstop Gunnar Henderson, who threw out Crawford at home on a play on which Crawford initially was ruled safe, but Orioles interim manager Tony Mansolino successfully challenged the play. Henderson's throw was not good, but catcher Adley Rutschman made a great swipe tag, and Cano then generated a called strikeout of Randy Arozarena. Sir Anthony Dominguez tossed a perfect bottom of the 7th with 2 swinging strikeouts. Gregory Soto tossed a scoreless and hitless bottom of the 8th with 3 strikeouts, and Felix Bautista tossed a scoreless bottom of the 9th for the save, despite giving up a 1-out infield single and then issuing a 1-out walk. Things did get dicey with Bautista, but he ultimately came through. The game ended on a deep flyout by Rowdy Tellez. And the Orioles offense in this 3-2 win at the Mariners late night on Wednesday night, the O's totaled just 3 runs on just 4 hits, which were a home run, a triple, and 2 singles, but the O's worked 5 walks, so the O's went 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Adley Rutschman, he is the Orioles starting catcher and number 2 batter, went 1 for 4 with a solo homer. He ended Orioles 1-run 6, had a 2-out solo homer on a bomb to right field to tie the game at 1. The homer went a projected 415 feet per Statcast, so Rutschman had the big tag on J.P. Crawford at home in the bottom of the 6th and had the solo homer in the top of the 6th. Heston Kjerstad, he is the Orioles starting right fielder and number 8 batter, went 1 for 3 with a 2-run triple. He hit Orioles 2-run 7th, had a 2-out 2-run triple to the right field corner on an 0-2 pitch for a 3-2 Orioles lead. The O's are playing much better. What does this mean? Who knows? But this is good to see. Here was Tony Mansolino during his postgame session with reporters early Thursday morning on this win at the Mariners.
Yeah, this is a really good team. Obviously with great starting pitching, it's got a great bullpen. To kind of stay in the fight that the way they did, to put the ball in play, to battle 2 strikes, build up pitch counts, to get some traffic, and then give yourself a chance to get the big hit. It felt like one finally kind of stayed fair for us. The ball, off the bat, we're looking at it from our angle, thinking it's going to hook foul, and it feels like it's hooked foul all year. It stayed fair, and Kobe does a nice job with having intent in his primary and secondary over first base, and gives Buck a good chance to send him home, on a ball in the corner, which isn't easy to do. So, yeah, I mean, right now it's a gritty group. They're playing good. It's gritty. It's been good.
All right, Game 3 for the O's at the Mariners Thursday afternoon at 3:40. Zach Eflin will be the Orioles starting pitcher. And that'll do it for you and me for now. Keep the feedback coming. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. Friday show, episode 1089. We'll have much more on the Commanders. And on Friday's show, we'll talk Nationals and Orioles. The Nats are home to the Chicago Cubs Thursday evening at 6:45 in Game 3 of a 3-game series. The O's are at the Seattle Mariners Thursday afternoon at 3:40 in Game 3 of a 3-game series. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll talk to you on Friday.
The guy that, to me, He just looks really good. He looks intentful. Daron Payne, man, like every day, this dude is. I'm having to tell him, hey man, let's calm down. Like I got in trouble with the head coach yesterday because I challenged the D line and he went after it. And I said, Q, that was my fault. I told him to do. He did exactly what I told him to do.